The fleet commander asked why humans don't fear war. The answer made the room go silent. The War Council chamber aboard the Nexus Prime hummed with tension as representatives from 12 species gathered around the holographic display. Fleet. Commander Zethkar, his forearms gesticulating with practiced authority, pointed to the red zone spreading across the galactic map like a disease. The hegemony has taken 14 systems in 3 rotations. His translated voice echoed through the chamber. Their bioships consume everything. Planets, stations, even asteroid fields. Nothing stops them. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled delegates. The Karathi delegation clicked their mandibles nervously. The crystalline Vexani dimmed their luminescence in what their species considered respectful mourning for the lost worlds. Even the proud Thanari kept their usually vibrant crests low. Only one delegation remained unmoved. Ambassador Sarah Chen sat with her hands folded, her expression calm as she studied the tactical display. Beside her, General Marcus Webb leaned, back in his chair with an almost casual air that seemed to irritate several other delegates. The hegemony's advance is unprecedented, continued Fleet Commander Zethkar, his golden eyes fixing on each delegate in turn. In our archives, spanning 50,000 years of galactic history, no force has proven so relentless. They do not negotiate. They do not retreat. They consume. The Karathi delegate, Speaker Clicksmoth, gestured with trembling appendages. Our warrior caste, bred for millennia for combat, broke after witnessing a single bioship feeding. The psychological trauma. My people's neural networks cannot process the horror, interrupted the Vexani representative, their crystalline form flickering. We have shared the experience through our collective consciousness. Many have chosen the long sleep rather than endure the memories. Zethkar's attention turned to the human delegation, which brings us to an anomaly. He paused, studying the 2 humans with something approaching bewilderment. Every species in this council has submitted casualty reports, psychological evaluations, requests for extended recovery periods. Every species has asked for reassignment away from the front lines. The chamber fell silent, except humans. Zethkar's voice carried a note of genuine confusion. Your fleets request additional deployments. Your soldiers volunteer for the most dangerous missions. Your casualties return to duty with what your medical staff terms concerning enthusiasm. Ambassador Chen finally spoke, her voice steady. Is there a question in there, Fleet Commander? Yes. Zethkar leaned forward, his forearms spreading wide. The question that haunts every member of this council, that has consumed our strategic planning sessions, that defies every psychological model we possess. His golden eyes fixed on her with laser intensity. Why don't humans fear war? The silence stretched taut. Chen exchanged a look with General Webb, who gave her an almost imperceptible nod. You want the real answer? Chen asked quietly. Please, Zethkar said. Our psychologists, our strategists, our historians, none can explain it. We've studied your species' development. You've endured conflicts that would have driven any of our civilizations to extinction or permanent pacifism. Yet somehow impossibly you seem to thrive in warfare. Chen stood slowly, her hands still clasped behind her back. When she spoke, her voice carried across the chamber with crystalline clarity. We don't fear war, Fleet Commander, because we've already survived the worst thing that could ever happen to us. Which is? Zethkar asked. Ourselves. The chamber went utterly silent. Even the ambient hum of the ship's systems seemed to fade. Chen began walking around the holographic display, her eyes fixed on the spreading red zones. Every species in this room evolved on worlds with natural predators, environmental challenges, competing life forms. But those were external threats, things you could run from, hide from, eventually overcome through technology or cooperation. She paused, letting her words sink in. Humans evolved differently. Our greatest predator, our most persistent enemy, our most creative and ruthless opponent was other humans. For 200,000 years, the thing we feared most walked on 2 legs and thought with our own intelligence. General Webb's voice added weight to her words. We didn't just fight animals or weather or natural disasters. We fought mirror images of ourselves. Creatures exactly as smart as us, exactly as desperate, exactly as determined to survive. Do you understand what that means? Chen asked, turning to face the council. It means we spent millennia learning to think like our enemies, because our enemies were us. We learned to predict exactly how we ourselves would respond to any situation because we were fighting ourselves. The Vexani delegates' form flickered rapidly, their species equivalent of deep thought processing. The psychological implications are staggering, Chen confirmed. We developed warfare as an art form because we had to. We created strategies to defeat enemies who knew all our strategies. We learned to function under stress that would break other species because our own survival demanded it. She gestured to the red zones on the display. The hegemony is terrifying because they're relentless, emotionless, perfectly coordinated. They represent everything your species never had to face in your evolutionary development. But to us, General Webb smiled grimly. They're just another enemy. And we've been fighting the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy, ourselves, since before we discovered fire. Ambassador Chen's final words fell into the silence like stones into still water. You ask why we don't fear war, Fleet Commander. The answer is simple. We are war. We've been at war with ourselves for so long that peace is what scares us. She returned to her seat, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. The hegemony thinks they're the apex predator in this galaxy, but they've never faced a species that spent 200,000 years learning to be the perfect enemy against themselves. The silence that followed was profound, absolute. 12 species sat motionless, processing an explanation that redefined everything they thought they knew about warfare, about fear, about the strange, resilient species that had somehow turned their greatest weakness, galactic scientists called humans ordinary. Until one experiment changed the definition of monster, Dr. Zeftal adjusted her crystalline appendages as she reviewed the data streams flowing across her laboratory's holographic displays. The Galactic Scientific Consortium's most prestigious research facility hummed with activity, housing the greatest minds from 47 different species. Yet, among all these brilliant beings, the humans remained the most unremarkable. Another failed attempt, muttered her research partner, Dr. Vexron, his insectoid mandibles clicking in disappointment. The human specimens show no extraordinary capabilities whatsoever. No telepathic resonance, no energy manipulation, no enhanced physical attributes beyond their baseline biological parameters. Zeftal's 3 eyes focused on the human subjects in the observation chamber below. They appeared so ordinary, bipedal mammals with primitive sensory organs and limited lifespans. Their planet, Earth, had only recently achieved faster-than-light travel, making them galactic infants compared to civilizations that had mastered the stars for millennia. Perhaps we've been approaching this incorrectly, Zeftal mused, her voice resonating through the lab's atmospheric processors. Every species in the consortium possesses some form of extraordinary ability. The Vorthak can phase through matter, the Xerians manipulate gravitational fields with thought alone, and the Krillians exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Yet humans are baseline, Vexron finished. No psychic abilities, no natural energy projection, no biological advantages beyond basic mammalian functions. They're the galactic equivalent of a statistical anomaly, a spacefaring species with no distinguishing supernatural characteristics. The observation chamber contained 5 human volunteers from various Earth colonies. They had been selected for the consortium's Extraordinary Potential Assessment Protocol, a comprehensive study designed to catalog the unique abilities of emerging species. So far, the humans had failed every test. Dr. Kara Chen, the lead human scientist assigned to the project, stood behind the observation window with barely concealed frustration. Her dark eyes reflected the holographic readouts as she watched her species being systematically dismissed by their galactic neighbors. We may not have psychic powers or energy manipulation, Chen said quietly, but we didn't claw our way to the stars by being ordinary. Zeftal's attention shifted to the human scientist. There was something in Chen's tone, a quiet intensity that the Galactic researchers had consistently underestimated. "Dr. Chen," Zeftal said, activating the communication system, "your species has undergone every standard assessment. Perhaps it's time to accept that humans are simply baseline." Chen's expression hardened. "Maybe your assessments are testing for the wrong things." "Impossible," Vexron interjected. "These protocols have successfully identified extraordinary capabilities in every consortium species. The tests are comprehensive and infallible." "Then let me probe into their greatest strength." Fleet Commander Zethkar finally spoke, his voice barely audible. How do we fight beside creatures like that?" Ambassador Chen's smile was neither cruel nor kind, simply matter of fact. "Very carefully, Fleet Commander. Very carefully indeed."